It's 3 o'clock, but we're gonna give it a few more minutes because we don't have a quorum yet. We'll wait and see if Valerie or Troy.
Did we get responses? Anybody telling us they're not coming?
I haven't seen anything.
Fine. Trying to calm down. majority of seats or filled seats. If it's filled seats, then we have a quorum. Majority of the voting members appointed and qualified at the time of the given time shall constitute a quorum. So since we only have 5. 3 means it. Huh? Okay.
Okay. It is 3:07 PM and this is the Affordable Housing Review Board. Today is July 28th, 2025. My name is Carmen Hoffine and I'm the Real Property Section Manager for the Housing and Community Services, Department of Housing and Community Services. It's a lot to say. So for today's agenda, we will call to order and roll call approval of meeting minutes, Affordable Housing Fund Plan update, Housing Development Loan Program. We have a presentation from Mennonite Housing, other business and open discussion, and then adjourn. Can I get a motion to call the meeting to order?
So moved.
And a second?
I will second.
And for roll call, Tracy Terrell,
Here.
Rebecca Starkey Kiesling,
Here.
Troy Palmer, Miranda Penner,
Here.
and Valerie Black. We do have approval of meeting minutes for April 28th of 2025. Can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to.
A second?
Second.
Do I do the voting? No, just motion.
All in favor.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 3-0. Next is the Affordable Housing Fund Plan update, and we did provide copies of the update. So the Affordable Housing Fund Program Plan was approved in fall of 2023. This is just a little bit of background regarding that. $72.4 million in American Rescue Plan Act ARPA funds, state and local fiscal recovery funds were allocated to the city of Wichita to offset COVID impacts. Community engagement revealed that housing was a key priority for ARPA funds, and council allocated $5 million to create the Affordable Housing Fund. Council has placed a high priority on affordable homeownership. The goal of the Affordable Housing Fund is to improve the quality of existing housing stock while also expanding quality affordable housing options and promoting neighborhood stability in Wichita's core. This plan creates accountability for affordable outcomes. The Affordable Housing Fund promotes stability in Wichita's core. The focus is on qualified census tracts, established central area. Moving to what has happened as far as the competitive application process. So there were 56 total properties in the competitive application, which we're going to call the CAP. Out of the 56, 47 properties were sold to 4 developers. 13 of those properties were for affordable homeownership and 34 for affordable rentals. The remaining 9 unsold properties, what we're trying to do is list them on the open market. And that would be one with the broker that we're currently working with. Sales proceeds were returned to the Affordable Housing Fund from the 9 unsold properties. The next phase we're proposing is up to $201,400 from Affordable Housing Fund available to make that available as a dollar-to-dollar match to cover up to 20% of the purchase price for acquisition of 7 Wichita Housing Authority properties that are currently occupied to be sold as affordable rentals with the tenants still in it. This would be under a 15-year project-based voucher contract. The next update we're proposing is the remaining Affordable Housing Fund funds will be used to provide up to $40,000 per unit for targeted units. And this would prioritize properties with rehab barriers, for example, in the floodplains, environmental mitigation requirements, or other market conditions. And that's more if there's a property that's located in a not so desirable location. Identified units be made available under a cap, so this would be the cap round 3. And then what would be required would be subsidized rentals under a 15-year project-based voucher contract.
And those, Carmen,
Go back.
yeah, not necessarily affordable rentals.
My rental, sorry about that. That's my error.
That could be affordable homeownership or affordable rentals in that piece. The previous 7 that we talk about selling as affordable rentals with project-based voucher subsidy, those households have very, very large families, 9, 10, 11, 12 member families. And so part of the strategy on that, those units have already been through a substantial rehabilitation, $80,000 to $100,000 rehabilitation in the last 2 years. We knew those families would be very challenged if they were just issued a voucher to go out and find a different rental unit. And so the strategy there is to keep those units as affordable rentals with a 15-year project-based voucher contract on it. But even when we did the operations pro forma at the rents that could be set on those units under a voucher, we recognized there needed to be some acquisition subsidy because it didn't pencil. Even with only a 5, because we're proposing right now a 5%. That the permanent financing on those, the best we could get is at a 5% loan. Without any subsidy, it just doesn't work. And so that's why we were proposing the matching dollar for dollar up to 20% down for a developer who's willing to purchase them. That'll help bring down the debt to make it so that a 15-year project-based voucher contract actually works. And it helps to keep those very large families housed. So that was the thinking behind that investment of just over up to $200,000 in affordable housing funds for those 7 units. Now notice that 7 units doesn't equate to the $40,000 a piece we were giving when a unit needed to be purchased and rehabbed, because these have already had a rehab. This is just the subsidy that would be necessary in order to make that so that was a viable project. And when I say that, it's a viable project for a nonprofit partner. Our for-profit developer partners aren't going to be willing to cut the margins as tight with only a 3.5% return on those, but our nonprofit partners potentially will. The remaining funds still, again, that kind of goes back to the same way we did the last rounds of 40,000, but we're targeting those units that need the most help. If that makes sense.
Thank you, Sally.
Well.
Staff recommendation, it is recommended that the Affordable Housing Review Board approve the Affordable Housing Fund Program Plan update and submit the adoption recommendation to the Wichita City Council. The next, go back. So can I call a vote?
Okay, can we go over that?
I was gonna say, I'd open it up for discussion.
Sorry,
Yep.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Can we just?
Well, because that's, I guess I don't know, maybe this information was all in our before, but I thought we were just going to be talking about the new stuff. So can you give me the short version again?
Okay.
Sorry.
Sure. Okay, so the $5 million was allocated out of the ARPA funds. There were 2 previous competitive processes. $1,320,000 went for through a competitive application process to, I gotta think, Habitat, Hope,
Sampaio.
no, the first one, the first one.
Residential.
Residential Housing Solutions and Large, and this group approved those applications. The second application, we flipped the script and we actually used the affordable housing funds to purchase the properties up front so that we could get ahead of those declaration of trust releases. When we put that group of 56 out onto, under the application, the board approved 47 applications to move forward with 47 of those 56. So that's what left 9 of the properties on the table. Didn't have interest in those 9s. At this point, we're recommending, let's just sell those on the open market and let the funds from those come back to the Affordable Housing Fund to be redistributed so that we can put money into more challenging properties.
Because we've already paid for those because we purchased.
Exactly.
Purchased head out on those, the city did. And so
Correct.
we're able to then provide the deeds a lot faster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And then even with that round 2 application, most of those properties actually appraised for more than 40,000. So there was a little bit of funds that are rolling or revolving back into the Affordable Housing Fund. Those 2 things combined, the funding from the 9 units plus what's rolling back, we expect to have about 1.4 million available. Of that, we're recommending about 200,000 to subsidize those 7 units where we want to keep those very large families housed in those recently renovated units, and then target all of that remaining funding to the most challenging units, the units in the floodplain, the units that are going to be, that need more love than some of the others. There's a tremendous amount of interest in some of the other properties, the Country Acres grouping, the Arnold grouping. The market's going to handle those. They don't necessarily need any type of subsidy to get those renovated and moved on. So we want to focus on the ones that actually do need a little bit more help. So that's kind of where we are today.
So, but then ultimately, so out of those 9 that we've already, that answered my question, was the unsold properties, those 9, okay, so we'll put them back out on the market with At Home. Is there still another round of houses out of the initial housing group that the city of Wichita had then?
We still have a lot of other houses. Yeah, we have about 160 remaining in the portfolio houses. Yeah.
Now, when those other 9 go back on, will they go through the RFP process, like the competitive bid process, or will those go back on the open market?
The 9 we're saying just to put on the open market through the broker on the MLS, sell them out.
7, the other ones with the larger
The
families.
7 will go out under a competitive application. Yes. Yep.
So for those 9, there won't be any protections or anything as far
No.
as.
There'll be some of the group that doesn't. What we're finding is even the ones that are going out on the open market, many of them are retaining them as affordable. A lot of them are coming back and as rental properties through the Section 8 program, which is a good thing. We have a lot of owner occupants though too. Kind of a good balance.
Now, is there a reason why we're going to do those on a competitive application versus just opening them up on the open market?
The 7, because you're getting money. We're putting 200 grand in them. Anytime we're putting in money, we have to have a competitive process around it. Yeah.
Because of the grant.
Because of the
funds that are being provided.
correct, as well as project-based vouchering requires we go through a competitive process.
Can I ask why that is, since we own those properties?
Project-based voucher under the federal regulations at 24 CFR 983 requires, in order for us to grant a project-based voucher contract on a property that we don't own when it's being operated, it has to go through a competitive process
We don't own it.
when it's being operated.
Okay.
We own it now, we're going to sell it, it's their contract. So we have to go through a competitive process.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
Ask all the questions.
Well, and the reason why, right, is because the public also sometimes feels like that, because it's like, well, I see this property as a city-owned property, but this one's on this, you gotta go through this process to bid on this one.
We have no project-based vouchers on any city-owned property currently.
Okay,
The only project-based vouchers we have right now are on the large properties.
large properties, okay, gotcha.
Any other questions or discussion? Can I get a motion to vote?
I would move that we accept the staff's recommendation to the affordable housing, changes to the Affordable Housing Fund Program Plan and submit the adoption recommendation to the city council.
Can I get a second?
I have one more, I just have one, I'm sorry,
No, you're
I
welcome.
have one more question. I just want to make sure, especially, so the other question that I have is whenever these go out on a competitive application, similar to how the other projects did, and we go through there, now I just lost my question.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Those would be brought back to this board for presentations and recommendations like we did the last.
And then there's no other program changes that are in here other than just those particular properties?
Those are the properties that we're changing, yes.
Okay.
Because we spelled it out in detail, the 56 properties in the last update. So we're very specific in saying these 9 didn't sell. We're recommending that these 9, just get sold on the open market since there wasn't interest the first time. Right, and then identifying those 7 and what their appraised value are, that's spelled out in here. So that we can see that it takes just over $200,000 to be able to provide a match up to 20%.
How soon will those go up for the competitive bid process?
The 7, we should, once we get past we have to take this back to council. It's going on the 12th. If, we'd be going to on the 12th. We can start that process shortly thereafter and putting together the application to get them out.
And then the funds that you identified, that if it's going to be competitive, they may or may not need all of those funds then
Correct.
too.
And, each proposal could be different. Someone could be coming in with only 10% down and needing to, so then we're going to match 10% down and they may be looking at a longer, a different permanent financing, that sort of thing. But that's going to be up to this board to look at whatever proposals come in and choose the one that's best.
Well, I guess if we were just going to be, so from what I'm understanding is that we're going to be preemptive when we go out and we're saying, hey, this is what we're going to allow you to do versus having the organization say, hey, this is what we need. Where I guess if we're giving it to them for free up front, then
So they're not getting it for free.
well, you get the
We're
correct.
giving them up to 20% of the costs, matching up to 20% of the cost. And then we are collaborating on how to provide a lower interest loan. We have a couple of options for that.
And on the 7, are we looking for one to get all 7? Or are we open to splitting them up like we did on the last ones?
We could split them up. We could absolutely split them up. It would make our lives easier if it was one.
I just mean, like, how is it going?
Well, because
It'll be their option. I have a feeling, we're gonna see people coming in and wanting to get that economies of scale, especially because of where they're located. There's so much easier, you get that economy of them being so close to each other, so.
But also too, if they're trying to look at their risk portfolio, on a property that's already has tight margins, then it may.
That's why we try to be as flexible as possible in what we put out there and see what comes back.
Okay.
Questions are great.
Because if I don't understand it,
Yep.
sitting on the board, then I think, the public also,
Absolutely.
may need some help understanding it, so.
Second it if you want. It's not just.
Plus. Yeah. All right, so do we?
Oh, I already,
Restart it.
do I need to say
Do
it
we have to
again?
say it again?
We just, no, she doesn't have to say it again. We're just waiting on it if there's a second.
Is there a second?
Second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 3-0. Next is our housing development loan program, the application from Mennonite Housing for single-family homeownership closes. So for the housing development loan program, it closes the gap for infill development construction costs, supports development of idle, underutilized real estate, provides needed affordable housing in target areas. Applicants can be for-profit or nonprofit organizations. Projects must serve households with incomes not exceeding 80% AMI for the city of Wichita. New construction, 3 single-family units. It's the application. It's in the Mesa Verde Edition in North Wichita. Home funds requested $270,000 total with $90,000 per unit. Total development cost is $662,295, which is $220,765 per unit. So I'm going to hand it over to the Mennonite Housing team to come and provide their presentation.
Angie Mendoza, I am the CEO for Mennonite Housing. Bear with me, this is my first presentation since our former CEO retired in December. Mennonite Housing is, this is our staff. Me, Corey is our director of construction. He's been with Mennonite Housing for a really long time. Becky Burchett is new. She is the program administrator. Julie Smith is the director of our neighborhood homes. She's been with our organization for a long time. Amy Ford is our controller. We began in 1975 as a volunteer effort to repair homes of the elderly. The city of Wichita provided funding for a van and tools, and that's how we got started. In 1990, we began developing LIHTC properties, and we also have some HUD 202 and 811 projects. In 2012, we became a member of NeighborWorks America. They have supported us with funding, networking, and training. We have annual organizational evaluation from NeighborWorks that keeps us strong. We are guided by a community-based board of directors. Our goal is to help people that cannot obtain home repair, decent housing, or home ownership in any other way. Our goals include repairing homes of low-income seniors and people with disabilities to make their homes safe and secure. We rehabilitate homes and improve neighborhoods. We make homeownership a reality to those with low and moderate incomes. We develop and build more affordable housing options for citizens within the community. And we demonstrate God's love for all people. For home repair, we utilize the funding from Federal Home Loan Bank to complete repairs. We received a $1.5 million grant in December of last year. We are working through 100 homes currently. For home ownership, we construct new homes with the funding from this program. We also develop LIHTC properties. We have, we're actually part of 3 applications that went in that we're waiting to hear whether or not we receive awards. We currently manage over 1,300 units in LIHTC and HUD programs. The proposal we have before you is actually a total of 10 homes, but there is only funding within this grant to fund 3 homes. There are earmarked funds within this grant program that are for the LIHTC projects that are currently being evaluated. Our intention would be if any of those funds free up, we would put in an application for the other 7. Right now, these are the 3 homes that we are proposing in this proposal. This is a project that we developed 15 years ago under a LIHTC program with TCAP money. We just rolled through the first 15 years. Now the residents are able to purchase their homes. So this project that already has 24 homes in it is now in the process of converting to home ownership if the residents want to purchase their home. We think this would be a great addition. We have 10 lots that are still there, that are empty, that have been vacant this entire time. This is a great neighborhood. It's quiet. It already has a really great sense of community. Adding these homes to those undeveloped lots, we think would help finish out this community. We currently rewrote the covenants for this community to make it a maintenance-free community, to make sure that the residents that are converting to home ownership have the best chance to be successful. They don't have to maintain their yards. We're trying to help keep the neighborhood looking nice. Adding these houses, we already have several houses. We have 2 houses currently that are the same design in the neighborhood. The other houses in this neighborhood were split level. We used this model because it was handicap accessible. So this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath unit that is slab on grade. This is the floor plan for the unit. It's 1,311 square feet. It has an attached garage, as you saw. This is also Energy Star efficient. The sales price for these units would be $131,000. The site acquisition cost is a little bit higher for this development than what we usually have because this community has specials on the lots. So we're paying $14,000 more than we normally do for lots. We've also removed the completion of the basement because we couldn't get the numbers to work for this program otherwise. Our hard construction costs are $167,000. Developer fee is $22,000. Other soft costs are $10,000. The total is $227,665. The subsidy amount on these would be $90,000 each. Currently, we have 1,200 people that are on our waiting list. We most likely will not market for these. We will use our waiting list that we currently have. If we do need to market these, we usually use Community Voice and radio logo. Our applicants have to submit a preliminary application online. The applicants with credit issues get referred to Consumer Credit Counseling Services. And we assist potential home buyers with loan qualification process with local lenders. We obtain permanent loans from local lenders. We anticipate the monthly payment range of $775 to $850, including taxes and insurance, with a 6.5% interest rate. The majority of our homeowners that are purchasing in this program have been at 60% AMI or lower. We anticipate that will be the same for these 3 homes. Typically, when we do the reporting to NeighborWorks for these homes, I see that these AMIs are roughly in the 50s. So we're actually serving a lower AMI. That was it. What questions do you guys have that I can answer? And if it's hard, I'm bringing Corey up.
Yeah, I'm just pausing, not because of your presentation, which was great, just the payment range and then thinking of 50% AMI and 6.5%. Like clearly it's in the affordable range for what's out there and
Yes.
oof, that is
It is.
still
So
a stretch for a lot of people.
I've been doing rent raises for our portfolio. We have a new project that actually is a LIHTC project that is just in the final stages of rent up. Our rent range is roughly the same, and it's for a 2-bedroom unit, 1 bath, but it does have a 1-car garage. So this is comparable to what we're looking at. This is a big home. These are not small homes. This is a nice size home.
Yeah, it wasn't a reflection on you, the pricing out and everything was good. It was just,
Yes, I agree.
it was not keeping up. But no, I was excited reading your proposal and
We really love doing this. I don't know if any of you know Corey Bannister, but he works very hard to get these homes built at the absolute lowest cost. The 4 homes that we're currently working through a grant with, all but one of them came in under budget by $10,000 or more. If we can do that, then those funds stay in the program. So we do our best to try to do that Corey makes lifelong friends. They're so excited to get this house that he's built. He said he does a great job. So we really enjoy doing this. This is a great way for us to serve. It's a smaller population in Wichita versus our rental housing, but it still is, we like this program. We like being able to do homeownership.
I was excited to come vote on this today, so thank you for the work you did.
Thank
Now, whenever you say it's, oh, just whenever, so local lenders. So as far as partnering with local lenders, are you anticipating that these potential home buyers will be coming back to the homeownership aid program?
They always do.
And then, so basically from the 90,000, then another 20%, which would be 26,000 at 130 purchase price, being
Correct.
26,000. So now we're at 116,000.
A house that's gonna sell for 131.
That's a lot of time and tax in the city tax mill levy to make that.
City mill levy, no, this is our federal funds. They don't touch the city mill levy.
Right. But I mean, just increasing.
To add to, is that what you're thinking?
Well, I'm just, it's the one of projects, right? That, I mean, it sounds amazing, don't get me wrong, but I think eventually, like, at what point do we have to start saying, okay, at $90,000 a unit of being subsidized, if we have a $20,000 unit, so shortage, the path is in the math. We can't, I mean, eventually something's going to have to change the trajectory here.
It's exactly why the recommendation on the two LIHTC projects, because in the past, we didn't do any rentals. It was all going in this bucket. And so that's exactly why we have $1 million in contingent commitments on 2 large rental properties out of the same source of funding that this comes from, seeing that exact thing, right? 90,000 plus down payment assistance is a lot to put into one person's home.
Into one person's house. I mean, and that's where it's like, okay, we just talked about how it's easier for people to buy things because of economies of scale and building, having funds to be able to support larger development projects possibly in the future versus just doing one of. I mean, yes, 3 families are going to be extremely grateful, but it's all the other families that we're going to have to say no to because we're giving $90,000 per property. The other thing is based on the amount of cash flow that you guys receive in from your other rental properties and some of them that are maturing, I'm curious as to why, in order for this to move forward, are you absolutely having to rely 100% on this 90,000 from the city?
If we do not get this grant, we will not build these homes, yes. The property rental side of our organization, that is a break-even kind of deal. When you get to management fees and how that funds our organization, all of our properties are affordable properties. When we budget for those properties, they budget to cash flow with $1,000 a year. There's no extra money in there. The management fees cover the staff that manages those individuals. There's no funding for us to be able to do something else with those.
I would just say that if the market was able to provide housing currently, it would. And we need organizations like this to build because the market is not finding it profitable to build houses that people can afford. Or
Well,
else it would. You're taking how much of a loss on each of these?
here's the cost. Our hard cost for this is $167,000 without the soft costs that have to go into that and the site acquisition. We can't build this cheaper. We literally can't. I don't know anybody that could. The Energy Star efficiency piece of it does increase our costs. That's necessary to keep this so that it's affordable long term. But I mean, we squeeze I'm telling you, Corey spends a lot of time squeezing it.
Right.
He has deals that we.
And I really, I don't think that's not the case, right? I'm just saying, okay, if we only have so many funds in the kitty, So how are we going to distribute those funds? Is this the best, highest use of how those funds for 3 individual single-family homes? Is that the best, highest use? Plus, on top of that, paying off the special tax assessments. Part of that could be, all right, is the county, or I mean, those special tax assessments. Is there other avenues other than this fund to help you get that $90,000 that you need for this to be sustainable? And I'm asking the question, right? Because I don't have the answer, but I don't see how long we can sit here in this meeting and continue to have this conversation at $90,000 per unit. That's a harsh, plus we also have, probably a backlog of Section 8 vouchers that, individuals that need help, right? Another question that I have is, what does the deed structure look like on these properties? Whenever these properties are sold over, are you going to carry a first right of refusal on those?
During the construction or when they sell?
Whenever they sell?
We are not part of the deed at all once it sells.
Okay, so
I don't know, Corey, do you know if there is a piece of this that has any kind of contingency? Is it for 5 years?
The homeownership 80 down payment assistance does.
there's a homeownership 80 does, but I know after reviewing the last Habitat for Humanity houses and looking at their program, they put a first right of refusal on their deed.
That's because they finance it.
Yes,
We don't finance it, the bank does, but Habitat finances all of their own houses.
yes.
Gotcha.
And I would, with projects like this, it's more than just housing, it's also economic mobility. So like you can keep building houses for people to rent and their generations and generations can keep renting, but put someone in a home and then they start building generational wealth that a lot of people haven't had the opportunity to do. So I feel like this is not just a house. So that would be why, one of the reasons I support putting more in, making a deeper impact in some areas. And yes, also putting some money towards rental and larger. But I think it has to be both and, or else we just continue a cycle of inequity.
I think the answer to the affordable housing crisis has there's many different ways to approach this. This is the program that we've done for home ownership for many years. Like I said, we also work in other spaces too. We have Sally begged me to do something on a specific project that as soon as those earmarked funds are freed up, I might be coming back to you with a different proposal that isn't home ownership, but could be rental rehab. So we are definitely I'm trying to be very conscientious of the money that I'm asking for. And we're trying to touch a lot of different programs in this. That's why we do home repair. We use funding sources in different places so that we can, not beg just one person for the money.
Now, right now, you anticipate that you've been at 50% AMI. Is what you're looking at. What's from your guys' history on selling these particular properties, what's been the foreclosure rate after the fact?
We just started selling these properties literally in March of this year. Are you talking about in this program historically?
I'm just saying, like with the prior ones that were part of your proposal, some of the prior projects that you had done. So like, for example, giving someone a property and they're getting into it and they're subsidized up to 50%, at a 50% AMI income level. What has been the foreclosure rate like from these projects that you've built in the past? So basically, as we give someone a property and they move into it and now it's theirs, are they successful after the fact? Or what's been the foreclosure rate that you've seen on these properties that have been
We're not the lender,
developed?
so I don't know that we have that information. Corey, do you have?
We don't have that exact information,
Uh-huh.
but from being around the program for 23 years and still seeing people that'll call me 15, 20 years after I built their house, I don't see very many of them. All I see is the praise of, like Geraldine was at $1,300 a month for a rental, couldn't hardly do it. She was in her 80s, first home that she bought. Her payment's $600 and some a month.
The 10
You
year.
know, it's Energy Star.
I'm not aware of it.
So her bills went down. She's like, I can't believe this. Thank you so much. I mean, that's just what I see from everybody.
We're not aware of a single foreclosure in the 10-year affordability period related to the home ownership 80 down payment assistance.
Okay, that's ultimately, right, it's just looking at, okay. Is
Is it successful? Is it, right?
getting someone in, but then, okay, it's the 10-year time period down the road, it's, okay, have they actually had the opportunity to build that equity and, see the returns of that?
And half of the homeownership down, the homeownership 80 comes back, no matter how long they're in it. So if they stay in for 10 years, half is forgiven and the other half comes back at sale. So we oftentimes do have some of that coming back as program income from when people sell their homes.
And my question is for city staff. Number 6 is that you will evaluate the applicant's history and demonstrated ability and be provided a recommended score. What's your recommended score? It was just a moment. Okay, sorry.
It'd be over.
I have another question for you, because right now you said you went in and you changed the restrictive covenants on these to then go ahead and take care of yard maintenance. What's the HOA fee that's being assessed to these properties for that?
It's around $450 a year. So all of these properties have low water, so the $450 a year is really just covering the yard maintenance. So when we have a contractor come out and do the entire neighborhood, it's just covering those costs.
Sprinkler systems. Scoop grass. Just look,
I'm assuming all the properties are on like a master well or something that
there's actually 3 wells
around the development then.
around the development, yeah. And they parts of the development.
Not in there. Or in nature. Yeah, he's dying.
With the local lender that you're going to be using for these projects, I mean, are you still going to be encouraging them to use the homeownership 80 program?
Yes.
But then they still get a private lender for the primary mortgage, and it's completely the buyer's choice as to what lender they use. But most end up using a local.
What is, if you have a backlog of people, how are you choosing who gets these houses and who doesn't?
We start at the top. So people have applied over the years. That is literally the waiting list for this program. So we talk to the people at the top of the list and tell them these are the addresses we have available. This is the community. They go out and look at it. If they are interested, then they will start the process with us.
See where he's handling for this one with the last one.
So Tanner did the evaluation. He's on vacation this week, unfortunately, and we can't seem to locate that piece. But when we looked up the last application for Mennonite, that was I scored a 9 out of 10 for the organization. Are there any other questions? Concerns, thoughts, ideas? Love them all.
You, Angie. Next, there's staff recommendation. It is recommended that the Affordable Housing Review Board recommend approval of the Home Investment Partnerships Program funding allocation of $270,000 for Mennonite Housing Rehabilitation Services, Inc., and submit the recommendation for a conditional commitment of funds to the Wichita City Council. May I get a motion to vote?
Either way, is there a motion to approve or deny?
Motion to approve what's written here. Investment Partnerships Program funding allocation of $270,000 for Mennonite Housing Rehabilitation Services, Inc., and submit the recommendation for a conditional commitment of funds to the Wichita City Council.
May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say same sign.
Aye.
Vote passes 2-1. Next is any other business and open discussion. Anyone have any other questions about anything else? Any other business to discuss?
We have more business coming down the pipe soon, or we're kind of waiting on this next round of.
So yeah, the next, would be the competitive application, the next one that goes out, once the Affordable Housing Review Board, plan is approved, and we go through that process for sure. Like, Angie indicated, they put in the application for 3. We expect to hear sometime in August on the tax credit awards. So we'll know whether or not there's going to be additional home funds to be made available that could go out for this or anything else. I did want to kind of just put it on your radar, the THUD bill that has been passed by the House recommends complete elimination of this program. So that would be entirely detrimental to our community, but we're watching it very closely. We're hoping the Senate version recommends flat funding. The House version recommends entire elimination. So that's just, we sit back, we wait and see what comes out of it.
And I'm assuming right now we have a contingency plan because the funds that we're approving is being earmarked and set aside. There's no jeopardy of any of the projects that are in play now that we've already approved. This would just be any new program.
Any new money at this point. We hope, I hate to say it, we've seen other programs have awarded funding swept at the federal level. So yeah, we hope that there's no jeopardy to, to existing allocations.
Other discussion?
The only other question that I wanted to talk about, and I don't know if this is the correct forum, but what are the steps and process? Like, for example, with the homeownership AD program, how do we open that up to more people?
Right now, there's barely enough funds to cover what's going to be necessary for the houses built under this program, as well as the homeownership piece that's happening with the houses that went under the Affordable Housing Fund. And those have to happen to have the restriction, because the Affordable Housing Fund has no federal restriction on those funds or on those homes. So that down payment assistance is our clawback. It is our hook in it. And there's barely enough funds in that pot to serve those purposes than to open it up to anything beyond that.
So, and I guess I look at that, right? And maybe if I'm looking at a $90,000, so the funds that are in to help with the development is completely separate of the homeownership AD fund.
Correct.
Okay. Because it also just seems when there are if creating homeownership dream is important, then how do we do more of that with the existing housing stock that Wichita has?
One of the things we have changed in the homeownership 80 program is it's not a guarantee of 20% down. It's what is necessary up to 20%. In the past, that I had seen, I'd seen a couple of situations where with the amount 20% down, people were being over subsidized, and we want to make sure that that's not happening. Yes, mortgage insurance stinks, but there are certain circumstances people can still afford it with mortgage insurance, and over subsidizing shouldn't occur. And so we're making sure that people aren't paying less than 25% for their housing costs. 30 is the target, and we won't approve anything under 25. So anymore. In the past, I saw them down where it was 13 or 14%. Not acceptable. To try and make the money go further.
Right. Because that's kind of what I noticed too, like with some of the loan programs, like the Community Revitalization Act funds that are available for a lot of these homes that are in the low to moderate income census tract, based on that same map that is in this. I mean, there's 100% financing available for a lot of those programs. And so if the purchase price is going to be offset by the developer at 130, well then if the true appraisal value of that property on a brand new build at 100, should be higher than 130, one would assume. So there.
Sometimes we have a hard time getting them to appraise for what they need to sell.
Well, and that's what I noticed on some of the Habitat for Humanity. This one gal's under has the mortgage, and then with the second mortgage, and then based on what the county appraised it at, I'm like, she's already upside down. It would take her years to be able to get back what she has. So we're not creating that American dream if now she's stuck to that because of the appraisal value. But with other potential programs that are out there that are required for lenders, and then instead of subsidizing, it would be looking at the ones that are kind of like at risk, or the ones at risk of becoming our low income census tract areas that, you kind of have identified in your map of some of the areas that we're keeping an eye on that could potentially fall into that category.
I guess as someone who lives in a neighborhood that is that red neighborhood, I'd like some attention there, not just being moved to the at risk of being there. So like my house in a different area would appraise completely different than it does. And
100%, right? I mean, the first number one in real estate is location, location, location. So, but I was just more of curious as how do we make those funds go further to help more people get into that, right? Because having them be in rentals, I mean, that's denying them the opportunity for growth if they choose to do it, right?
It's a balance, having a mix of different opportunities for sure. But yes, we definitely want the funds. And that's why we had to make the change, even it's not a guaranteed 20% anymore. Just can't be. doesn't make sense to do that, to make them go further.
Credit mortgage insurance is like 1% of the loan value, so, which is a whole lot less than.
Any other items? Thoughts, ideas, again, I'm always looking.
Can we get a motion to adjourn?
Move we adjourn.
Second, I get a second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, 3-0, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Sling drywall mud.
We can do.
Sling drywall mud. It's like if I can just do a little bit over here, eventually it's done. Just a little bit. Thank you. A little mud.
One in her.
Thanks for coming.